You're burning money on rent. Your landlord's getting rich off you. You have to buy a house. It's maybe the most common financial advice on planet Earth. And in 2026, it might be a dangerous assumption. An assumption that could cost you a fortune and trap you in a massive financial decision you are not ready for. For decades, we've been told renting is like throwing money into a black hole. But in today's housing market, with high prices and mortgage rates that have totally changed the game, that old advice isn't just outdated, it can be reckless. The reality is, for a lot of people, renting is now the smarter, safer, and potentially more profitable choice. So, where do you draw the line? How do you figure out the exact point where buying a home switches from being the American dream to a financial nightmare? That's exactly what we're going to do right now. We're going to crunch the real numbers that so-called gurus and real estate agents often gloss over. Forget the emotional arguments. Forget social pressure. We are going to build a simple, data-driven framework so you can make the right decision for your money, not for your landlord or your parents. By the end of this, you will know exactly how to figure out if you should be renting or buying in 2026. Section 1. The problem, the emotion, the search for a solution. Let's just be honest. The pressure to buy a house is huge. It feels like a core part of becoming an adult, a sign you finally made it. You scroll Zillow, you see friends posting pictures of their new backyards, and that little voice in your head gets louder. I'm just paying my landlord's mortgage. I'm getting nothing for it. This is the problem. You feel like you're falling behind, and that feeling, it's completely valid. This is the emotion. It comes from a good place. You want stability, control, and to build something that is truly yours. For our parents and grandparents, buying a house was a pretty straightforward path to building wealth. You buy a house, pay it off, and you've got a valuable asset. Simple. But the game has changed. The math that worked for them no longer applies to many of us, especially first-time buyers looking at the 2026 market. The belief that every single dollar spent on rent is a wasted dollar is probably the single most destructive myth in personal finance today. Why? Because it oversimplifies a huge financial decision. And more importantly, it totally ignores two massive factors: the hidden costs of owning and the opportunity cost of your money. Think of it like this. Rent is the most you'll pay for housing each month. A mortgage is the absolute least you'll pay. The true cost of owning is so much more, and ignoring this is where the financial trap is set. And this is our search for a solution. Let's pull back the curtain on the numbers people conveniently forget to mention. I call these phantom costs. They're real, they're big, and they can drain thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars from your bank account every year. First, the big three everyone underestimates: property taxes, homeowners insurance, and HOA fees. Property taxes are a forever payment. You never stop paying them, and they almost always go up. Across the US, the average rate can be anywhere from a tiny fraction of a percent to over 2%. On a $400,000 house, a 1.5% tax is an extra $6,000 a year, or $500 a month. That's not building equity, that's just the cost of admission. Next is homeowners insurance. The national average is now hovering around $2,200 a year. And in states prone to natural disasters like Florida or Texas, that number can easily double or triple. This is another mandatory cost, adding hundreds to your monthly bill. Then you have the dreaded HOA, or homeowners association fees. If you buy a condo or a house in a planned community, you're likely paying these. They can be a few hundred to over $1,000 a month. But the real budget killer, the one that sinks people, is maintenance and repairs. A very conservative rule of thumb is to budget 1 to 2% of your home's value for this every single year. For that same $400,000 house, that's $4,000 to $8,000 a year. 1 year, it's a new water heater for $2,000. The next, you need to paint the exterior for $5,000. And a few years from now, a new roof could hit you for $15,000 or more. When you rent, the landlord covers this. When you own, it's all on you. And we haven't even touched the massive one-time costs. Closing costs to buy the house, typically 2 to 5% of the price, and the transaction costs when you sell, where agent commissions alone can take 5 to 6% of the sale price. Though it's good to know these commissions are becoming more negotiable. Now for the second and maybe most important concept that the renting is wasting money crowd ignores: opportunity cost. This is the potential return you miss out on when you use your money for one thing instead of another. To buy that $400,000 house, you need a big pile of cash. Let's say you put down 20%. That's $80,000. Plus another $12,000 in closing costs. That's almost $100,000 of your money now tied up in one single illiquid asset. What if, instead of doing that, you rented and invested that same $100,000 in the stock market, say in a simple S&P 500 index fund? Historically, the stock market has returned a nominal average of around 10% per year over the long haul. That $100,000 could become a massive source of wealth, and it's liquid. You can access it. To get money out of your house, you have to sell it or borrow against it. This is the core question. Does the financial gain of owning a home, building equity and price appreciation, outweigh the combined cost of all those phantom fees, plus the growth you gave up by not investing your down payment? Let's do a side-by-side comparison with real numbers for 2026. This is an illustrative scenario because your numbers will be different, but the framework is what matters. Meet Alex. Alex is thinking about buying a $420,000 home in a typical mid-priced city. Here are the assumptions for our 2026 scenario based on forecasts. Purchase price, $420,000 down payment, 10%, $42,000. Mortgage rate, around 6.3%, where some experts see 30-year fixed rates in 2026. Property tax, 1.2% annually. Homeowners insurance, around $2,200 per year. Maintenance, a conservative 1% of the home's value, so $4,200 per year. Home price appreciation, we'll use a modest 2.2% per year, in line with some 2026 forecasts. First, let's calculate Alex's true monthly cost to own. The mortgage on a $378,000 loan at 6.3% is roughly $2,330 per month. Because of the 10% down payment, Alex pays PMI, private mortgage insurance, around $150 per month. Property taxes add $420 per month. Homeowners insurance is about $183 per month. Maintenance is $350 per month. Add it all up. The true monthly cost isn't the $2,330 mortgage. It's $3,433 per month. Now the renting side. Alex finds a comparable place to rent for $2,500 per month. Forecasts suggest new apartment supply may be softening rent growth, making this a realistic figure in some cities. So, month to month, renting is $933 cheaper than owning. But we have to account for the opportunity cost. Alex the buyer puts $42,000 down plus, let's say, $10,000 in closing costs. That's $52,000 in cash gone on day one. Alex the renter invests that $52,000 in a stock market index fund, and it gets better. Alex the renter also invests the $933 monthly savings. We'll assume a 7% average annual return. Now let's fast forward. This is the break-even point, the moment when owning finally overcomes all its costs and lost investment returns. After 3 years, an approximation, Alex the homeowner has built roughly $50,000 in home equity from payments and appreciation. But selling would cost over $27,000 in fees. The net gain is only about $23,000, Alex the renter. That initial $52,000 investment has grown to about $64,000. The monthly investments of $933 have grown to over $36,000. The total investment portfolio is worth $100,000. After 3 years, the renter is crushing it. This is why experts often say if you don't plan to stay put for at least 5 to 7 years, renting is almost always the smarter financial move. Let's jump to 7 years, an approximation. Alex, the homeowner, now has about $127,000 in total equity. After potential selling costs of $30,000, the net gain is roughly $97,000. Alex, the renter. The initial investment has grown to over $83,000. The monthly investments have snowballed to over $98,000. The total portfolio is worth $181,000. Even after 7 years in this typical 2026 scenario, the renter who invested the difference is significantly wealthier. The break-even point might not happen until year 9, 10, or even later. This is the trap. People focus on building equity, but fail to see they might build wealth faster by renting and investing. Section 4. The key levers you actually control. This was just one example. Your life is different. The good news is you control the levers that matter. First and most important, time horizon. How long will you stay put? The massive upfront and back-end costs of buying and selling mean owning is a long-term game. If you might move for a job or a relationship in the next 3 years, buying is extremely risky. Renting gives you priceless flexibility. If you're in that 3 to 7 year window, you absolutely must run your own numbers. It's usually only after 7 years that the math consistently starts to favor buying. Second, upfront cash versus monthly budget. Do you have a big down payment plus closing costs plus a 3 to 6 month emergency fund? If buying drains all your cash, you're in a risky spot. Renting has much lower entry costs. Third, the price to rent ratio in your city. This is a quick check. Take a home's price and divide it by the annual rent of a similar property. Using our example, $420,000 divided by $30,000 in rent, $2,500 times 12, gives a ratio of 14. Here's a general guide, not a hard rule, but a good starting point. Below 15, buying often looks better. 16 to 20, it's a gray area. Above 21, renting is likely the much smarter financial move. In many hot US markets, these ratios are well into the 20s, making renting a clear financial winner. Finally, the mortgage rate environment. When rates are higher, like in the 6 to 7% range, more of your payment goes to interest instead of equity early on. A fixed rate does lock in your biggest cost, which is powerful. But the higher the rate, the longer it takes for buying to pay off. It's not just about the money. Of course, this decision isn't just a spreadsheet. The non-financial side matters just as much. Renting buys you flexibility. The power to move for a dream job on short notice is a massive career advantage. Owning buys you stability and control. You can paint the walls, renovate the kitchen, and no one can tell you your lease isn't being renewed. That sense of home is powerful. But with control comes responsibility. When the toilet breaks at 2 a.m., you are the one who has to fix it. The stress and work of maintaining a property are all yours. And finally, there's risk. As a homeowner, you're exposed to the housing market. If prices fall, you could owe more than your house is worth. Renters are shielded from this, but they face the risk of rising rents. There's no single right answer. You have to be honest with yourself about what you truly value at this stage of your life. Let's quickly recap the most common traps to avoid. The FOMO trap, buying because you're scared you'll be priced out forever. This is emotion, not strategy. The phantom cost trap, only budgeting for the mortgage payment and getting slammed by taxes, insurance, and maintenance. The time horizon trap, buying with a vague plan to stay for a few years. A few years is rarely long enough. The "I'll invest the difference" lie. The math for renting only works if you are disciplined enough to actually invest your savings. Here are your 5 quick take-home points. A mortgage is the minimum you'll pay per month. Rent is the maximum. Opportunity cost is real. The money you sink into a down payment could be growing elsewhere. Your time horizon is the #1 factor. Buying is a long-term commitment, 7+ years. Run the price-to-rent ratio for your specific city. A ratio over 21 is a major red flag for buying. Renting is not wasting money. It's buying flexibility and avoiding risk. Let's do a quick quiz. Are you ready to test your knowledge? What is the term for the potential investment growth you miss out on when you buy a house? The answer? Opportunity cost. A mortgage payment is the blank you will pay for housing each month. Maximum or minimum? The answer? The absolute minimum. According to our case study, after 3 years, who was in a better financial position? The renter or the homeowner? The answer is the renter by a long shot. Are you truly ready to buy a house in 2026? You should be able to say yes to most, if not all of these. I have a stable income and an emergency fund covering 3 to 6 months of all my expenses. I am confident I will live here for at least 7 to 10 years. I have enough saved for a down payment and closing costs without wiping out my savings. I have run the numbers for my market and budgeted for the total cost, including at least 1% for maintenance. I am ready for the responsibilities and comfortable with the risks of owning. If you can't check these boxes, that's not failure. It's financial intelligence. It's a sign that right now, renting is the smarter move for you. The goal here isn't to talk you out of ever buying a home. The goal is to destroy the myth that you are losing money by renting. You're not. You're buying flexibility and avoiding the huge costs and risks of ownership until the time is right for you. The smartest financial move is to stop, think, and run the numbers for your own life. Buying a home can be an amazing thing, but only when it's done for the right reasons. Don't let anyone shame you for renting. In the 2026 housing market, it might just be the decision that makes you wealthier in the long run. What's the price-to-rent ratio in your city? Drop it in the comments below. I'd love to see what you're all dealing with out there. And to see exactly how to invest the money you save by renting, watch our next video on building a simple 3-fund portfolio from scratch. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss it. Thank you for watching.